What's going on, guys? Kando here. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on my last video. You guys are close to 1,000 views on it. Thank you so much. What we're going to be doing today is actually talking about the best settings for Call of Duty Modern Warfare when it comes to the console aspect of it, which is PS4 and Xbox. It's not going to be for PC settings, just because most of the player base that follows me and watches my YouTube videos actually play on console. So I think it just makes sense for me to talk about the best settings for console. Also, tell me in the comment section below how you guys are liking this Call of Duty. Personally, you're seeing gameplay from my first couple of games. I think I'm level 38, if I'm not mistaken, or like 35. So I've been playing the game a decent amount. I'll probably hit level 55 by the end of the week. So personally, I like the game. I think it plays a little too slow for me. I just need to figure out, where to set up, because this game really does kind of reward the player for camping. Not camping, but like more or less just holding a position. So if you guys have noticed, you're mid-sprint, you don't really win that gunfight anymore. So it's kind of a whole new aspect for me to figure out what the best, way to go about killing someone is in this game. So my KDA right now is not that great. It's like a 1.8 or 1.6. I can't remember. So I've been going for gold guns too. So my KDA is not that great either. So put down in the comment section below what your KDA is. And let's get into these settings. Okay, so what you're going to see is controller general audio. We're just going to talk about the audio real quick just because we'll get it out of the way really fast. So I have it on boost high just because it boosts the volume for me. I can kind of sound whore a little bit better. You have master volume, which is 100 obviously, and music volume I have at 9. Now, you could change the effects volume. I turned it down a little bit because I don't really like the in-game effects affecting some of the stuff I do. It's because it's kind of loud. Now, hit markers, sound effects, I have it on Modern Warfare. You could do whatever. Juggernaut music, if you like the Juggernaut music, it's kind of like this hardcore metal stuff. The voice chat doesn't really matter. So we'll get into the general settings. So for me, personally, this is my best settings for console players. Now, for me, the brightness I have, so the game starts you out at 50 brightness. So if you guys play Call of Duty and have played for years, if you guys are veterans to the Call of Duty scene, you will know that most of the games aren't that bright. Black Ops 4 kind of had a couple of bright maps, but this game is kind of dull when it comes to the brightness, so I turn it up to 60. Now, film grain, I have it at the normal settings of 0.25. Now, if you look on the right, you can tell what the fill grain does. So I don't have it at all. So tooltips I have enabled. Now this is pretty cool too. So you have your colorblind type. I'm not even going to bother saying these 3 names. Now if you're going to look, if you are colorblind, you're going to see the MW a little bit better in the middle of these circles. For me right now, the second and the third one specifically, this one, I can kind of see a little bit better, so I might actually switch that later on. But if you're colorblind, you can look through these, the colorblind types. I personally have it on disabled because I'm not colorblind. The colorblind target, it doesn't really matter. This is if you have it enabled, but if you have it enabled, I'd go with interface. Just because it's kind of easier. So what it does is it applies the additional colorblind filter over the interface too. So it does, or you could go with both. It doesn't really matter. So what I want to talk about is the motion blur. So I have these 2 enabled for you. I have it turned off normally, but I have it enabled for you guys in the video just to show you where it is and to turn it off. Please turn off world motion blur and weapon motion blur. It is a must. It is so important when it comes to Call of Duty, because if you look closely, you're going to see on the right. Now, if you're a casual fan and a casual player and you want to be immersed in the world, you're going to want the motion blur on just because it's kind of cool. It's kind of like if you're looking to your right or left fast, it does motion blur, so it'll kind of make it seem like you're playing in the real world essentially. But in my opinion, I think disabling it is the best bet when you want to get kills, you want to see someone across the map if you're running and sprinting. Because if you sprint and slide and like move to your left really fast and move to your right really fast, I'll show you on screen. As you can see, I'm moving fast, and it actually makes the map harder to see because you have more textures and more motion on the screen. The text chat doesn't really matter. I just want to show you guys to disable these settings. So right here is, in my opinion, the second most important setting, because we went to the general, and I think the general is a little bit better when it comes to settings. But right here, we're going to talk about button layout and tactical and stuff like that. So personally, I play on tactical. Now, if you guys wonder what tactical does, the only thing that it changes is the melee and the R3 and the circle button. Or if you're playing on Xbox, it would be your B button and your right analog stick as well. So what it ends up doing is it only changes these 2 settings. You're going to see it's colored in like a kind of tealish / baby blue. So the reason why I have it on tactical, right? So meleeing in this game is not a 1-hit melee. I just want to tell you guys this now. It's a 2-hit melee, unless you have a perk on or whatever it is that will make it a 1-hit melee. Like you can do extra melee damage if you have a different perk on a gun. But I don't like it. I honestly don't. I think tactical is your best bet because drop shotting is very important in this game. Movement is very important in this game because if someone's holding down an angle, you can kind of lay down faster or slide past an area, and you kind of just do it easily. The reason why people would normally play on default is because panic knifing. So you would play Call of Duty in the old days, and you could right-click or analog stick click in your, obviously your right 3 button or R3 button, and you panic knife someone. Now, panic knifing was important in the other CODs because it would be a one-hit melee, but now it is not, so it is not important to use that anymore. That's just me personally. And the stick layout for the preset stick layout, I just go with the default. Unless you guys have played on something else, I would just keep it to whatever you've normally played at. For your look invert settings, I have it disabled. So I play on a 6.6 when I'm sniping, but when I play normally and I'm not using a sniper, I play on a 5.5. I think playing on a 5.5 is perfect for me. If you like higher sensitivities, you can do whatever. Now, this is pretty cool. This is your aim down sensitivity multiplier. So what it's going to do is it's low zoom. So it's further customizing the stick sensitivity while aiming down your sights. And it applies to only low magnification levels. So it's like less than 3.2 or 3.25. I can't remember specifically. Oh, it's actually on the screen right now. So that's pretty cool. I personally just keep it at 1. I think it's your best bet to keep it at 1 unless you want to mix with the settings. Now, this is really cool. Aim response curve type. You have linear, dynamic, and standard. I go with the standard linear response time or the curve type response time. I think it's just better. If you want to go with linear, it's direct to it's aim stick maps directly to the aim rate, so it's essentially just kind of normalizing it. But I just go with the standard because it's simple. It's simple power, so like if you're moving your right analog stick, it'll usually track it. But with the higher dynamics, like the linear, the dynamic that's even higher, it kind of treats it like a mouse. So like it's literally just going to move directly, like as fast as possible. So if you feel confident in your shot, I think you should switch your aim response curve type to dynamic or linear. But I just feel like it should be on standard. Now right here, controller vibration, important. It's enabled normally. Disable it. Disable vibration. I hate how every time I play a new Call of Duty or a new game, it always has vibration on. Vibration is the worst for your controller, especially in a shooter where you're trying to aim your sights down. It just moves your entire controller. Now, in my opinion, I know I said the controller is the second most important thing. I think that weapons, and talking about this, aim assist, is the most important when it comes to the controller aspect, because you have precision. For your aim assist, you have standard and you have focusing. It's normally on precision, guys. So when you start the game up, it's on precision. Switch it to standard if you want. So obviously aim assist is disabled aim assist, standard, traditional aim down sight near target, strong aim, slower than when it kicks in. It has a better, it's kind of for accurate players, but for me, I think standard is the best bet because I'm a pretty good Call of Duty player normally. So precision for me seemed okay, but I really like the standard better than precision. Now you can mess around with these settings. Focusing is important, guys, for this one. So if you're new to console gaming or you're new to a controller, like if you bought your boyfriend or girlfriend an Xbox and you wanted to play with them and they're brand new to it, go with focusing on the aim assist. I think aim assist focusing is the best because it does say right here, strong aim down sight, and it's best for players new to analog aiming. So this is important when it comes to players who are kind of new to console gaming, just in general, just because it helps focus the analog stick a little bit better. It kind of does like a slower rotation for you. So I think that that's your best bet. Now, weapon mount activation. Now, I don't mount my weapons. The only time I've done it is for my M4 to get the mount weapon kills or the mounted kills, which I think is like 60 or 65. So for me, I have ADS plus melee, right? So if you like to mount your weapon, go with ADS. Now, if you're aiming down sights, it's going to automatically move you to the right or left, wherever you're aiming. If you're next to a wall, it'll automatically mount you. For me, I have ADS plus melee. So if you're up to a wall, it'll say mount, which is my circle button. It could be B if you're playing on console. This is obviously the normal settings. For me, I just don't like mounting, so sometimes you can turn it off if you want. I think turning it off is going to be for competitive players. You know, they'll make it so you can't mount because it's kind of really annoying if you're playing against a mounted player. So aim down sights behavior, you can either hold it or you can click it. So what that means is, so let's say you're aiming down your sights, it's your L2 trigger, right? Or for either Xbox or your LT trigger, right? So if you click it in, that means you're aiming down the sight and it's going to stay like that. For me, if you're a new player, I don't think that you should even touch holding it. I think just holding it down is just better for everyone because you can kind of determine if you want to hold the trigger down or not. I think it's just your best bet. So equipment behavior is kind of the same thing. If you hold it, you press and hold. So what you want to do in Call of Duty is it's all about timing and rhythm. And the faster you can get things out, the better it is for you. So this, it's just an extra step if you're putting it on toggle. I think you just keep holding equipment behavior, both of them on hold, because it's not an extra step. So use reload behavior. I have tap to reload. You could obviously switch that if you want. You could tap to use, which is tap to use and hold to reload. For me, I've messed around with these settings. I've played on all three. I think the last one is just for, you know, it's holding the button down. It always reloads, so it's kind of for newer players. For me, like, I just think this is really important right here. Depleted ammo weapon switch. So let's say you're shooting, you have no ammo, right? What ends up happening is what I was talking about before, right? Where you don't want motion, you don't want wasted motion in shooting and playing Call of Duty, because the early bird gets the worm, essentially. So if you start shooting first, you should win the gunfight. So you want this enabled. So what ends up happening is if you have a full clip, you waste that clip, it automatically, snap of the finger, turns your pistol on, and you could start shooting instantly. So slide behavior for me, I have it on hold just because you can determine which one you want to do. If you hold it, you can kind of determine where you want to go. I think it's just better for everyone. And then vehicle, I don't really use at all. So in my opinion, these are the best settings that you can use. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what your settings are. Tell me what your sensitivities are if you guys have stayed until the end of the video. Tell me what sensitivities you play on, what controller settings you play on. So hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. My name's Kando. I love you guys, and I'm out. Peace.